Hello and welcome to the Cyber Show. My name is Pip Blake. I'm the Managing Director of Disruptive Cyber Group. And today I'm joined by Fergus. Fergus, would you give a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure, Pip, great to see you. Thanks so much for inviting us on here. So I'm Fergus Hay. I'm a total charlatan in the cybersecurity space, in that I didn't come from cybersecurity. I spent 17 years of my life in advertising and marketing, working for globally listed companies like WPP. And we stumbled into a big societal issue that we think we can help solve for the cybersecurity industry and the world.
Okay, so the hacking games is the sort of embodiment of solving that issue. So tell us about the stumbling, how you came across it. I know we've obviously touched on this, but it'll be very interesting for the viewers to hear as well. Just tell us how it sort of all happened.
So the Hacking Games is an initiative we're doing. It's a business that we've set up with a foundation where we're trying to create a generation of ethical hackers to make the world safer. And the reason why we're doing that is reasons that you as the industry know really, really well, but the rest of the world are not so familiar with. So that by 2027, the world will lose $23.8 trillion in a singular year to cybercrime. So to put that in perspective, that's the GDP of the United States. It's twice the cost of COVID globally, according to the IMF. So that number was just massive and unfathomable to us. And I discovered that because my co-founder, Dan Deer, invited me into a room of hackers. We spent 3 hours in this room listening to these amazing hackers, and I just started to understand as a normal citizen, as a parent, the just scale and dynamics of this problem. And when we kind of clicked into it, we said, well, so $23.8 trillion is an enormous number. So who are the hackers? And when we looked into it, we realized that, yes, it's state-sponsored, all the usual suspects of North Korea and Russia. And of course, it's organized gangs out of Eastern Europe and Southern Asia and Southern America. That's all true. But the vast majority of the infantry people, the vast majority of the actual people doing the hackers are kids. And in fact, research out of New York from Tough in Policy in New York shows us that 80% of New York teenagers have hacked someone by the age of 16. Wow. So line up 10 teenagers. Say 8 out of 10 of these have hacked someone by the age of 16. And 34% of British teenagers have hacked someone by the age of 13. Okay. And this blew my mind.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you've got, I know you brought together a collection of individuals to sort of try and help solve this problem. So you mentioned Dan, who is your 20 plus years in cyber, I think is correct. So yeah, tell us about sort of the other executives. Tell us sort of about and how they sort of, and well, obviously yourself as well. I think we can understand how the advertising piece fits into this. But I know from my perspective, I've been in the industry now for 7 or 8 years. Those of you who do know me, who are watching this, probably know all about the ethical hacking stuff that I used to do. So obviously that's something that we can have a further chat about a little bit later on. But how do the other individuals within sort of your board and organisation sort of fit into that? And how do we sort of get that message out there?
Yeah, well, I think you have to look at what the solution needs to be first. So when I looked at this problem, I realised that in order to solve the problem, we need to inspire kids to want to be ethical hackers, not criminal hackers. So, the media presents hacking as the hood is up, the matrix in the background, no face, hammering away at the keyboard. And you will see that in every single media outlet every single day of the year at the moment. But the true ethical hackers, these are people who use their creativity to break down structures, identify vulnerabilities and make them better. They're people like Tim Berners-Lee, Steve Jobs, Mira Murati, Megan Smith, amazing innovators. So the solution to solving this problem is to inspire Generation Z, 12 to 27 years old, to want to be ethical hackers. Now, in our experience, the most powerful way of inspiring people is to use media and entertainment. So we put together a founding group. We have 2 cybersecurity specialists in Dan Deer and Aziz Makaroon. They've been in cybersecurity for 25 years, part of the founding team of Outpost 24. I then brought in Sandy Kleiman, who's one of Hollywood's biggest deal makers. Sandy was the founder of CAA's corporate division. That's the biggest Hollywood talent agency. He was part of the management team of Universal Studios, and he sits on the board of the Savvy Gaming Group. And I also brought in Oliver Roskill, who's a BAFTA award-winning movie producer. So Oliver is UK-based. He's making lots of movies every year at the moment, and he's in as our president of entertainment. So a mixture of cybersecurity specialists to help us understand the culture and access the community and really feel the hacking community, and then media and entertainment specialists who know how to create really powerful entertainment properties to inspire a generation to want to be ethical hackers and not criminal hackers.
Okay. So ultimately bringing a little bit of Hollywood to cybersecurity, which I know that there's been various films out there. I think we can reference a number which are a little bit some more far-fetched than others. There's I know that we can certainly draw on some of the Hollywood stuff which has come out.
Well, the go-to is actually Hackers, the really old one,
Yes,
with Angelina Jolie and Johnny D. Miller. That's the one that the community goes to. Most of the hacking content is pretty poor.
Yeah.
It's either forensically technical, which unfortunately alienates the mass, or it's ridiculously Hollywoodized. You can look at the Mission Impossible stuff that's come out recently, which is just not credible.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground, and that's what we're going to try to take.
Okay. And that's where this becomes quite interesting, because there will be government organisations. So I know there's a number of individuals who are at the NCSC who have put out, there's so many government programmes that are trying to encourage, as you say, those, that sort of space of 12, I think we've mentioned Cyber First before, which is obviously one of the government initiatives, 12 to 27-year-olds into cyber, or certainly just to have an understanding of it. But sort of bringing that Hollywood element to it is certainly going to sort of help build that profile, which maybe those sort of programmes that have come before haven't. So what is going to make the hacking games different?
Well, I think you have to start with who the consumer is.
Okay.
I love the cybersecurity industry. It feels like a community of the most brilliant technical minds I've really ever come across, and we've had the privilege of seeing lots of industries in our lives. But it's very much an industry that's been in the niche, almost in the shadows. And I think there's been some reasons for that. There's been various barriers, like the barriers of language, barriers of culture, barriers of community, that has kept it in the shadows. But the problem has moved into the light, or the mass. It's gone from a niche problem to a mass problem, as the data shows. And because of that, you can see in the media every day, in the news media every day, every single day there is an article about another big hack. I think it was Ticketmaster just most recently. Yeah. And that'll continue at a voracious pace. And because of that, the consumer who needs to change their mindset has changed. The data I told you, that 8 out of 10 New York teenagers have hacked by the age of 16, what that tells you is in the old days, in the previous generation, the hackers were the outliers of society. They were the people who didn't fit, didn't belong, they were brilliant minds, and they didn't feel connected to the norm. And so they lived on the periphery. What 8 out of 10 teenagers having hacked by the age of 16 tells you is it's now middle of the curve kids. It's the kid, the average kid. I often joke about, it's my own kids. They're like spectacularly mediocre. And what I mean by that is they play football, they fight with each other, they don't want to do their homework, they want to go to bed later every night. They're just the middle of the curve kids. Yep. But it's these kids who are now falling into hacking and then a journey into cybercrime. And so then the solution has to change. Often people have a hammer and they just look for a nail to hit. And I really commend the fantastic programs that have been done at a government level and in the niche. But they are for the people who are already mindset is into cybersecurity. What we need to do is appeal to the kids aged 12 to 27, so that generation, who aren't necessarily self-profiling themselves as cybersecurity specialists or deep thinking programmers, but instead are the people who are falling into cybercrime through hacking and particularly through the gaming industry. And so the solution, the entertainment solution, has to have them in mind, not the people on the periphery.
So let's touch on that, because I know the gaming industry is ultimately where you're looking to target. I've had conversations already, which again I know we've touched on with prior to this, with regards to British Esports Association and sort of having and how they've got sort of kids into gaming and sort of across college networks and things like that, which would be, ultimately that would be a fantastic pool of individuals to tap into. So with regards to the gaming side of things, what does it look like from the hacking game side of things?
Well, look, let's look at the journey. So when we saw that data that said 8 out of 10 teenagers have hacked by the age of 16, quite honestly, I didn't really believe it. I couldn't visualize it in front of me. But we're really fortunate to have on our advisory board the FBI, the NCA, we've got members of Europol. On our direct board, we've got Stefan de Goyn, who's the head of cybercrime at Europol. And so we've had a lot of law enforcement helping us understand the problem. And here is the problem. Kids fall into hacking through gaming platforms. And in particular, young kids fall into it on games like Minecraft and in particular Roblox. And here is the use case. Let's take Rafa, my 10-year-old son. Rafa will come to me and he goes, "Dad, can I have 5 Robux to buy the digital fighter jet?" I will say no. And Rafa will then go onto YouTube, follow the streamers, go into the comment section. And in the comment section, the community are all sharing cheat codes. And the cheat codes are AI generated. So you need zero STEM or computational skill sets to be able to take that cheat code, go to Roblox and break the platform. So he can go into the main asset library or into your account and steal the digital fighter jet. Now in principle, it's just a game, right? Doesn't really hurt anyone. But here is the behavioral loop. I want something, I can't get it, I go and find a code, I go and break the platform and I get what I want. And there's no recrimination. So in the real life, there is a social contract, right? In the real life, you have kids, I have kids. Yeah. We tell our kids, hey, you can't go to school and punch someone in the face and steal their money. That's then reinforced by the village, the community, their school friends and the teachers. Yeah. And then it's enforced by law enforcement and government. But in the digital world, not one of those three pillars exists. The vast majority of parents have zero insight into what their kids are doing on gaming platforms. Secondarily, the community, the online community, they're not stopping it. They're encouraging it. They're saying, hey, what else can you break? What else can you get? And then thirdly, law enforcement and government regulation are so disassociated, they can't get close to it. So that in itself is a worrying trend because it's like an endless turnmill. But what we've learned from law enforcement, and this is the bit that really shocked us all, is that the gangs, the cyber gangs are monitoring the gaming platforms. And they're watching for kids using repetitive cheat code behavior. When they see a kid using repetitive cheat code behavior, they go up to people like my son and they go, hey, Rafa, you want 100 Robux? What would you do for 100 Robux? And of course, they'll do anything. And that's where the grooming starts. And that's why there's a mass recruitment of kids from gaming platforms who are using cheat codes to start to work to the cyber gangs, often unknowingly, to be part of a really big Fagans group of online pickpockets, effectively.
Okay, so there sounds like there's three prongs to that. So obviously you're very dialed in with the law enforcement. They're telling you what the problem is. There's the end point of that, which is the child. But how do and then there's sort of obviously the parent element as well. Is your aim to hit all three prongs? Obviously you've got some fantastic heavy hitting individuals on your board. I don't think I've ever heard of a heavy hitting board than that, certainly from law enforcement, from a law enforcement perspective. But how do you? Is it just the children that you're looking to address, or is it the parents as well?
So the law enforcement are a great help. They actually have a program called Prevent. So their ethos is, look, we can't arrest our way out of this problem. That we just don't have the manpower. What we've got or people power. What we need to do is prevent kids from falling into it. So they're very much helping us, and that they've been unbelievable partners. Fundamentally, we need to shift society, and so not one singular bullet can do that. And so what we're doing is creating a bunch of media and entertainment products, such as movies, TV shows, kids animated TV shows, family TV shows, documentaries that cover different parts of society. Fundamentally, at the end, the people we want to inspire are Generation Z, 12 to 27, TikTok generation, short form content, high drama, high excitement, something that's shareable. But at the same time, we need to get the parents to come into the conversation. Now, if you look at the power of documentaries, you've got Seaspiracy that put food security as a topic of conversation at the family dinner table. You have Social Dilemma that put data privacy at the table. You have Icarus that put performance-enhancing drugs at the family dinner table. Documentaries play a really powerful thought leadership role in getting the family unit to be aware of an issue and to discuss it. The mainstream entertainment, like TV shows, should never be underestimated for how powerful they are. So if you think about just last year in the UK, there was the TV show about the post office scandal, right? Yeah. Post office executives being illegally punished by the post office for supposedly squirreling away funds. Now that was a fictional, that was a real life story told and dramatized on TV. I think it was Channel 4. And what happened then was 6 months later, you had law change in the UK. You've had people having charges released from them. You've had senior executives being prosecuted and held up in court. And that shows the power of mass media. And that's what we're going to do with the hacking games. We're going to create mass media entertainment, some for the parents and the grown-ups, some for the Generation Z, some for the younger kids, to show the problem and then inspire everyone to say, wow, ethical hackers, they are the superheroes of the future. They're the people who are going to sculpt and guide our generations, create businesses, and provide a pathway for this generation to go, they're cool, they're the heroes I want to be like, oh, and I can get a job in that industry, and that's a really cool industry I want to be part of.
Okay, and given the background that you and your board have, and I imagine you have access to those sorts of individual or those organisations which are able to host these sorts of shows and that sort of thing. So, I mean, if you did want to mention anyone in particular who you think would be interesting to work with regards making sure that this is for the mass market, and to make sure that we change that sort of cultural perspective, please do.
So,
mention.
well,
there may be people in the works already. So
thanks, Pip. So we managed to bring on the best production partners and creative partners for the entertainment. So our documentaries are being made by the Noah Media Group.
Okay.
They're incredibly multi-award winning documentary makers out of London. In fact, big up to them. They just won an Emmy 2 nights ago for their documentary on the zoo in Kharkiv. Or Kiev, one of the two, and how it survived during the war. So they're making our documentaries, incredible partners. We are working with Duncan Gray from 2306 Productions. They were people who worked on X Factor, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, Survivor, The Ant and Dec Takeaway. They know how to make big mass TV shows that capture people's imaginations. And they've worked on our TV show, and I can't annoyingly tell you too much about the TV show.
That's absolutely fine,
It's really, think kind of Mission Impossible, Jason Bourne, knockout competition over 10 episodes globally. So we have the creative work done. Now we're in discussions with where to put it. Now, the TV industry is in a complicated space at the moment. Advertising shortfall has made it very complicated for them, but the streamers are really dominating the world market. So that's the likes of Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, all the above. So at the moment we're in discussions with those platforms to say, what is the right platform to put our global TV show out there that can attract this community? Now, it's actually a slightly bigger topic than that, Pip, because there's one thing which is making great entertainment and put it out there. But when you understand that this generation are falling into cybercrime through gaming platforms, and you kind of get your head around the fact that they're being groomed by the gangs from the gaming platforms, and yet we can still make an intersection there and guide them to doing the right thing. Then you look at the big tech companies and you go, wow. So for someone like Microsoft, who have the Azure cloud, where the online gaming is being hosted, that's often where the recruitment happens. They have, they own Fortnite. Yep. They own Minecraft. They have LinkedIn, which is a pathway for any young people to get into industry. They have a whole ecosystem there where this is either a problem for them or it's a major asset. And when we work with these big tech companies, we will help them go, well, look, this is a global audience. We've got all the right platforms to inspire them to go into ethical hacking, and it helps solve a problem. So by 2027, it is forecasted there will be 12 million unfilled jobs in cybersecurity globally. There's 4 million today unfilled jobs. That means the world is less safe every day. So for these big companies, that's a massive challenge for them. So we think we can provide a really big entertainment platform to inspire these kids. We can then educate them in ethical hacking through the Hacking Games ethical hacking qualification, and then provide a pathway into the security industry through a partner like a Microsoft. That's our dream and our vision, and that's where we want to work with a Microsoft or a Google or an Amazon. They all have the same challenges.
So in terms of obviously the title of this show, and I often forget it, is the future of cyber resilience. And do you see those individuals coming through? And I've had this conversation with a gentleman by the name of Tom Doyle. Tom, the introduction will be coming your way, who heads up the British Esports Association, and he mentioned that there's being a professional gamer is similar to being in the Premier League. The top 0.1% of competitors are the ones who take home the cash, but actually you've got an incredible amount of transferable skills below that 0.1%, which ultimately can fill that gap. And is that those are the sorts of individuals that you're looking to target and hopefully transition into that Hacking Games pathway?
Two answers to that. First of all, the esports industry is a really interesting one. Clearly, you can look at the data on Twitch and you can see that, the eyeballs that go into watching esports, good quality esports competitions are fantastic, but they're also very, very, very vulnerable. And it was only the Apex Legends final that was cancelled halfway through it, I think 2 months ago, because it was being hacked live. And that's real prize money. And you've got the World Cup in Saudi Arabia coming up. I think it's June, July, August. And they think that'll have 2 billion eyeballs streaming in over the 6 weeks period for that World Cup. It's an enormous amount of people. There's also a massive overlap with the hacking community, ethical, and also the cheat code community. And so that will be quite a vulnerable moment. And I know from conversations with fantastic esports teams, I really want to call out Jasmine Skees, the CEO of Guild, a great team here in London. Jasmine, I think, is a fantastic pioneer in this space, is that the threat from hacking and coding to the esports community, hacking and cheat coding to the esports community is real, because it's costing people prize money and it questions the integrity of the sport. And so that is a big question mark for them. And we will work with esports absolutely, and we think that's a great partnership to work on. Okay. The second part to your question, which is what's going to happen to the talent. So I love things like esports because it creates heroes for people to look up to. And if you look at the kids running around playing football at the moment, they're all running up, still doing the Cristiano Ronaldo shoe celebration. They're not going to be Cristiano, but he's an icon for them. They can look up to him and go, wow, that's what the best looks like. That's what the GOAT looks like. And I think the great talent in esports, the great talent in entertainment, the great talent in technical cybersecurity, they're all icons. They're all people to aspire to. But as ever, the talent system is a pyramid, right? Yeah. And the vast majority of talent will be in the middle of that pyramid. And what we want to do is inspire Generation Z, 12 to 27, not only the technical people, but actually broader than that. It's the people who aren't technical, but realize that security and cybersecurity is an amazing industry to be in. It's foundational to society. It's also a great industry to have a career in. So we want the salespeople, we want the strategists, we want the HR directors, the finance managers, all of the ancillary services that are going to be fundamental to security as it gets bigger and bigger. We want the best in the world talent to want to go into security. And ultimately, that's what we're going to do. We're going to provide a pathway for this generation to say, I want to be ethical hackers, not criminal hackers. I want to go into the cybersecurity industry, and wow, there's a cornucopia of services and opportunities I can have there to pursue my career.
I think you're going to make a lot of people very happy, because I know you're solving so many issues that I know that the cybersecurity industry has had for a while. I think some of the statistics you're quoting about shortage of 4 million jobs going up to, I think it was 12 you mentioned by a certain time. I know ISC2 or some of they come out with those sort of statistics. So I know that you are hopefully solving a lot of the issues, and I know that if I would encourage anyone who is part of these other not-for-profits or sort of government institutions, please reach out to Fergus, because please. I know that the more support that these sorts of initiatives get, the better. But I know we're coming up for sort of a bit of coming up for our time. So is there anyone, I know you've done a few shout outs already, but is there any shout outs you'd like to do? Any sort of topic, anything you'd like to cover about sort of the direction that you're going?
I think fundamentally it's such an enormous problem and such an enormous opportunity. We can't solve it on our own. So what we will do is we will create global media and entertainment. We'll bring eyeballs. We'll bring hundreds of millions of eyeballs. And that is the labor force of the future. But we definitely need help. And we need help from the private sector. So we need help from cybersecurity companies, big technology companies, banks and gaming companies who also believe in the mission of creating a generation of ethical hackers to make the world safer. And we need their support. We need their support from an infrastructure perspective. We need to integrate the hacking games into the likes of Fortnite and Roblox. We need financial support to make the entertainment. So we need companies who want to get their brands on our big entertainment properties and they want to sponsor it. We need their help because we can't create it all on our own. And thirdly, we need the community. So that is the mid-sized cybersecurity companies who don't have the budgets to sponsor big entertainment properties. They're very welcome to join Virtuous. Yeah. So Virtuous is our community of private businesses who believe in the mission, want access to our own community, want access to our thought leadership, we can co-sponsor events together and be part of the founding team to move it. And we have some amazing businesses already signed up. If you're an individual in cybersecurity and you're passionate about the mission, we'd love you to join Virtue. And Virtue is our community of cybersecurity specialists who are passionate about creating more ethical hackers in the world to make the world safer. I think we're up to about 115. We've got brilliant people in there like Chris Weissapel, the original ethical hacker out of America, one of the founding team of Loft. We've got Marcus Hutchins in there. We've got Shawnee Delaney. We've got these incredible people who are trying to make a difference. So if you're interested in joining Virtue, please reach out to us. And then we have Cyber, and Cyber is the youth hacking community. So we're trying to build a community of the most influential young ethical hackers in the world. The two founding members of that are Bia Sky Labs. She created Girls Who Hack when she was 11. It's a safe space for female hackers. And Marco Liberale, who is a keynote speaker at Black Hat, and he's 13 years old. So if you know of some brilliant young minds, kind of aged 12 to 20, who want to be part of the mission and give us the young perspective and make sure we do it in an authentic way for them, please come and join our cyber community as well. But I think ultimately, if we're going to win this, we can't do it on our own. We've got great government partnership. Now we need the private sector to come in and join us with the mission, help us with your infrastructure, help us with your financial support so that we can make this entertainment and inspire this generation to be ethical hackers, not criminal hackers.
Well, that is a fantastic call to arms. So yes, anyone who sort of fits into any of those categories, and I imagine there's quite a few of our viewers, please reach out to Fergus or via your website. Just want to
come through the website, hit us up on LinkedIn. You can hit me directly through the website as well, and we really look forward to partnering with everyone.
Awesome. Fergus, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Everyone at home, thank you very much for listening, for watching. I've been Pip Blake, and this has been the Cyber Show, and you've been beautiful. Thanks very much.